You lie still, wrapped in the calm of night. Outside, the air slows. Inside, something stirs, not loudly, not urgently, but with a rhythm older than the stars you dream beneath. Every cell within you breathes in its own language. Every molecule hums with a memory that has no beginning and no end. If you could shrink small enough, smaller than the tip of a strand of hair, smaller even than the dust motes floating in moonlight, you would find it, the hidden script. A pattern so familiar to life that even the simplest cell recognizes it. The pattern of DNA. You wouldn't see words written on a page, but a twisting ladder of light. Two strands coiled together, like dancers who have never forgotten the steps. The rungs between them are built from 4 small letters, A, T, C, and G, simple in form, infinite in meaning. They are not ink, but chemistry. They are not sound, but song. You drift deeper, and the world around you quiets. It's as if the walls of your body open to reveal an endless cathedral of movement. There, within each cell, thousands of machines work in perfect silence. Enzymes, tiny living artisans, glide along the DNA, touching, reading, copying. Their pace is steady, deliberate, patient. You could almost hear the soft turning of molecular wheels, the gentle click of bonds forming and breaking. This is the heartbeat. Beneath your heartbeat, the life that does not sleep, your DNA carries the instructions to build you. But more than that, it carries a memory of time itself. The pattern you bear was not written recently. It was written by oceans that once dreamed of light, by single-celled ancestors who learned to breathe oxygen, by creatures that crawled from sea to land and learned to see the sky. Your genome is a history book written in molecules, a story so long that every page is a generation, and every sentence a mutation. You are, in a sense, a continuation of the first whisper of life on Earth. Imagine floating through your bloodstream now, past red cells glowing like lanterns. Beneath them, invisible threads of DNA are coiled tightly within nuclei, each one a library, each one a universe of instructions. If you could stretch the DNA from just one cell, it would reach over 2 meters long. From your entire body, it would stretch beyond the moon, yet it fits within you, folded neatly, lovingly, as if the cosmos learned to write in miniature. The 4 letters, adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine, do not speak aloud, but they translate into everything you are. A 4 adenine pairs only with T for thymine. C for cytosine always pairs with G for guanine. They are loyal partners, always finding each other, always holding on. Their connection is what gives the double helix its grace, a spiral of stability, turning gently like wind over water. In this spiral, you sense something familiar, a pattern you've seen before. The swirl of galaxies, the curl of a seashell, the spiral of a fern unfolding in spring. It seems that nature loves this form, as though the same mathematics that shapes galaxies also whispers through your cells. You breathe in, slowly, and feel it. You are made from symmetry and repetition, from rhythm and balance. Even in the quiet, life hums with geometry. The night deepens. You imagine descending further into one single cell, the smallest living world. You pass through its translucent walls, through the cytoplasm, into the nucleus. Inside, chromatin threads glimmer softly, coiled like sleeping serpents. As you approach, the strands begin to unwind, revealing letters, pairs, codes. And there, in that quiet, something remarkable happens. A gene awakens. A portion of your DNA unzips, revealing its message to a waiting molecule called RNA. The process is slow, gentle. RNA reads the DNA like a poet copying from an ancient manuscript. It transcribes each base, A to U, T to A, C to G, G to C, a faithful messenger. Then it drifts out of the nucleus, carrying the instructions for a protein. You follow it through the cytoplasm to a ribosome, a tiny factory made of proteins and RNA. Their amino acids line up one by one, like beads on an invisible thread, each chosen according to the sequence of letters. Slowly, a new protein forms. It folds into its unique shape, ready to perform its task, maybe to build muscle, repair tissue, or carry oxygen. You realize this is happening everywhere, all the time, inside you, trillions of times over, every second. Your body is a continuous act of creation. Every breath you take supports this orchestra. Every molecule of oxygen fuels the tiny engines that read, copy, and renew the instructions of life. Even when you sleep, this work continues, not mechanical, not mindless, but profoundly aware in its own way. Life, it seems, does not rest because life is rest, a balance between movement and stillness, between pattern and possibility. And yet, the DNA does not work alone. Around it move other players, histones, coiling and uncoiling the strands, chaperone proteins, guiding new molecules into place, polymerases, tracing the code like careful scribes. Each one has its role. Each one keeps the harmony. If you listen closely enough, you can almost feel the rhythm of replication, the pulse of transcription, the slow and steady renewal of being. Your cells are not just functioning, they are singing. And within that song, there is a voice older than language. You are not separate from nature. You are nature, remembering itself. You begin to feel the poetry of it all. That your skin, your hair, your heartbeat, they are all chapters in the same genetic book. Even your dreams are shaped by the molecules that make thought possible. The same DNA that builds a tree's leaf also builds your lung. The same molecule that directs a whale's song shapes the neurons that allow you to listen to it. You share this script with every living thing that has ever breathed, moved, or bloomed. The difference between you and a butterfly is not the alphabet, but how it is arranged. The same 4 letters compose every melody, rearranged, rewritten, expressed in new rhythms, and yet, in all this complexity, the message is simple. Life loves to continue. Your DNA does not strive for perfection. It strives for persistence, for the chance to keep existing, to keep expressing, to keep becoming. Each cell carries that impulse. Each copy, each repair, each tiny correction is an act of care. Even when errors occur, when a letter is misplaced or skipped, life finds a way to adapt. Sometimes it heals. Sometimes it evolves. From these small deviations come the great diversity of life. Even your individuality, your face, your voice, your laugh is a collection of such variations. The whisper within your cells is never static. It's a living, breathing poem, rewritten with every generation, every heartbeat. You pause, resting in this awareness. The more you imagine, the smaller you feel. And yet, paradoxically, the more infinite. You are made of something that remembers stars, oceans, and time. If you could listen to your DNA like a lullaby, you might hear patterns repeating, the same motifs that echo in coral reefs and constellations, in the rhythm of waves and the pulse of blood. You might realize that the universe has always been composing you, syllable by syllable, molecule by molecule. Your consciousness, the part of you that wonders, that dreams, is just another expression of this code unfolding. You are the code observing itself. You are the song that learned to hear. The night air cools around you. The world seems to dissolve into the steady hum of life's machinery. You imagine your cells glowing faintly, like lanterns beneath your skin. Within them, the double helix turns again and again, spinning the fabric of existence. Somewhere, a cell divides perfectly, beautifully. Another repairs a strand of damaged DNA, sealing it with care. Another reads its code to build a new enzyme. None of them know you as you, and yet, together, they are you. The body is not a solid thing, but a process, a river of cells constantly flowing, copying, renewing. You are never the same person from one moment to the next, and yet, through it all, the code persists, whispering the same message it has whispered for billions of years. Continue. You sense the stillness beneath that word, the patience, the faith of life in itself. Even when stars burn out, even when continents drift, the molecule endures. Perhaps that is why, when you rest, something in you feels timeless. The same code that once sparked in ancient microbes still glows within you now. It is not owned or controlled. It simply is. You breathe, and the whisper continues. You dream, and it copies itself once more in the silence of your body. In the infinite libraries of your cells, the story of life keeps writing itself. Slowly, endlessly, lovingly, and as you drift further toward sleep, you begin to sense what the next chapter will reveal. That these 4 letters, so simple and so small, carry not just instructions, but imagination. That perhaps, in their arrangement, life itself is dreaming. You drift into a deeper stillness, and the rhythm of your breath slows. In that hush, you feel something turning inside you, quiet, constant, and infinite. It is not your heart, though your heart follows its song. It is not your lungs, though your lungs rise and fall to its rhythm. It is the spiral, the sacred geometry of life, winding endlessly in every cell. 2 slender threads, no thicker than dreams, wrap around one another like lovers in slow motion. They twist not in chaos, but in perfect balance, one strand reaching upward as the other leans down, mirroring and complementing, giving and receiving. This is DNA, the double helix, the poem written in atoms and light. You imagine it now, glowing faintly in the dark interior of a single cell. It shimmers like moonlight seen through water, a delicate staircase spiraling through invisible space. Each step of that staircase, the base pairs, holds one of 4 letters, A, T, G, C, adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine, 4 notes in a symphony that composes all life. Every creature, every tree, every pulse of being arises from this same alphabet. As you breathe, you realize how miraculous it is that everything begins with such simplicity. 4 letters, endlessly rearranged, like the chords of a song that never ends. You, your eyes, your memories, your laughter are the music written from this pattern. And within the spiral, you are both author and echo. Imagine the helix now not as biology, but as motion, a dance performed by invisible forces. The sugar-phosphate backbone forms the steady rhythm, the structure that never falters. The bases, those pairs of letters, reach inward like partners meeting hands, A always with T, G always with C, as though the universe itself believes in loyal companionship. You see the strands separate, ever so gently, when the time comes to copy themselves. The enzymes' molecular artists move along the line like scribes, matching letter to letter, restoring what has been opened. Every moment of your life, this dance happens millions of times per second. Cells divide. The spiral unwinds and you renew yourself, quietly, tirelessly. In this repetition, life remembers how to be you. Pause and listen. Can you feel it? The double helix doesn't make sound, yet if you could translate its motion into music, it would be the softest hum, the frequency of existence itself. Each turn of the spiral takes 10 bass pairs, a sacred rhythm. Each full rotation, a small eternity in miniature. And within that rotation lies an ancient truth that structure and fluidity coexist. Just as you hold stillness and movement within every breath, you picture now how the helix curls tighter, coiling around proteins called histones, small spools around which DNA wraps like silk. This compression is gentle yet precise, an act of cosmic organization within the chaos of creation. When the DNA coils further, it becomes chromatin. Then chromosomes, densely packed instructions, ready to guide the making of life. Within you are 23 pairs of these, a collection of spirals telling the story of your ancestry, your individuality, and your shared humanity. It's strange, isn't it, how something so small contains so much? Your entire history fits into something invisible to the naked eye, smaller than the smallest grain of dust. And yet, within that invisibility lies an immensity beyond comprehension. Your DNA is nearly 2 meters long, coiled inside a cell, only a few micrometers wide. If you stretched all the DNA in your body end to end, it would reach the sun and back hundreds of times. Still, it never tangles. It never forgets. The spiral always knows where to begin, where to end, and how to return home. You realize now that the helix is not only a shape, but a philosophy. It embodies the idea that growth is not linear. It spirals, returns, expands, and revisits. Life learns by repeating, by folding upon itself, by echoing the past in new forms. The double helix teaches patience. It whispers that evolution is slow and artful, that even the smallest change can ripple through time like light through water, and within you, the spiral is still turning, replicating, translating, creating. Every cell that divides is an act of trust that this code, this dance, will continue its rhythm. Errors are rare but necessary. A tiny shift, a letter misplaced, and sometimes those mistakes become miracles. A new color of eye, a new way of thinking, a small variation that someday may become an entire species. You feel comfort in this thought that imperfection, too, is sacred, that the dance of the helix allows for both order and surprise. It's as if the universe prefers beauty that breathes structure that moves. And you, as part of that vast choreography, are both dancer and dance. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine zooming out. From the nucleus to the cell, from the cell to the tissue, from tissue to organ, until you see the human form, luminous and whole. Each strand of DNA glows like a golden thread woven into your being. Together, they form a tapestry, a living constellation, a reflection of the stars above. Now zoom further still. See how the helix mirrors the spirals of galaxies' arms winding gracefully around a center of light. The pattern repeats, from the smallest molecule to the largest cosmic body. Perhaps the universe loves spirals because they never end. They carry both beginning and eternity within their curves. You realize, with a quiet awe, that the shape of your DNA is also the shape of creation itself. The same form that spins in the Milky Way rests inside every cell of your body. As above, so within. The thought comforts you that your existence is a reflection of cosmic rhythm. You are not a random occurrence, but a pattern continued, a song played again by the universe through your being. The double helix is your signature and your connection, a reminder that life, at every scale, is one grand, harmonious repetition. You breathe deeper, feeling that spiral in your chest, the rise and fall of your breath matching the curve of the helix. Life unfolds in patterns. Rest follows motion. Sleep follows wakefulness. And as you drift closer to sleep, the spirals continue their gentle turning, unseen but unending. You wonder, softly, if DNA carries the memory of life on Earth, what carries the memory of the stars? Perhaps, in the next layer of the universe, another spiral turns not of molecules, but of time itself, whispering the stories yet to come. You rest within the current of life, unseen, yet always moving. From the silent spiral within your cells, something ancient begins to stir. A rhythm, slow and persistent, that has flowed for nearly 4 billion years. You feel it like a hum beneath your thoughts, the pulse of evolution, carrying you through time. Once this current began in darkness. The young Earth turned beneath volcanic skies, wrapped in lightning and storm. The oceans shimmered with energy, warm, chaotic, alive with potential. And somewhere, in a shallow pool or beneath the waves, the first whispers of chemistry began to speak the language of life. You can almost hear it, a spark meeting a molecule. A simple bond forming where none had been before. Carbon dances with hydrogen, nitrogen with oxygen, and in that dance, something new is born, a molecule that can copy itself. Replication, the first echo of what would become you. These were not yet cells, not yet creatures, but the beginnings of pattern, the first faint rhythm of persistence. One molecule survives, another dissolves, and slowly, across millions of years, a story unfolds. The story of evolution, the slow poetry of trial and memory. You drift with that story, seeing it unfold beneath the waves. The first cells appear tiny bubbles of protection, cradling fragile chemistry within thin membranes. Inside them, the spiral of DNA begins its song. These early forms do not think, but they adapt, sensing light, temperature, and food. Every adjustment, every small success, becomes a memory written into the code. Evolution, you realize, is not a race. It is a conversation between matter and time, between chance and survival. each mutation a whisper, each adaptation a reply. The river flows forward not in haste but in harmony, adjusting its path like water around stone. You see now how that current spreads, how life diversifies, each form a small experiment in possibility. Some cells learn to gather in groups, forming colonies that share and communicate. Others capture sunlight, learning the alchemy of photosynthesis, turning light into sustenance. The oceans fill with color, green tides of microbes, blue blooms of cyanobacteria, tiny architects reshaping the planet's air. The sky changes, oxygen rises, and life, now breathing, begins to dream of complexity. Time folds and unfolds, slow as sleep. You drift through epochs as continents shift and mountains rise. Simple cells give way to more intricate ones, eukaryotes containing nuclei, the quiet libraries of DNA. These new beings hold the potential for cooperation, for specialization, for imagination. They are the ancestors of everything with a heartbeat. Everything that feels the sun, the current quickens, and the sea becomes a cradle of wonders. Strange forms bloom: jellyfish, glowing like lanterns, trilobites, crawling like armored prayers across the seafloor. Fins stretch into limbs, gills become lungs, scales soften into skin. Each transformation is not a leap, but a ripple, one generation, one small shift at a time. You see the pattern now, the same spiral logic repeating itself in new forms. DNA does not invent from nothing. It remembers differently. Every creature is a remix of what came before, a new verse in an old song. The fin of a fish, the wing of a bird, the hand of a human, all built from the same bones, rearranged in the music of need. That evolution is not perfection. It is persistence with creativity. It is the river finding new paths when the old ones dry. A process that learns, forgets, and learns again, endlessly curious about what else life can be, and within that curiosity, consciousness begins to shimmer. Some creatures develop sight, not just to see, but to interpret light, to feel meaning in patterns. Others evolve hearing, smell, touch, senses that make the world intimate, that pull the outside in. From these senses, awareness grows first as reactions, then as reflection. You float through the forests of the Carboniferous age, where giant ferns reach toward endless rain, through the age of reptiles, where scales glitter under red suns, through the age of mammals, where warmth begins to mean care, where eyes look not just for prey, but for each other. And then, somewhere on an ancient plain, a new creature stands upright, trembling, small, but filled with a strange fire. It looks at the stars, not as lights, but as questions. This moment, quiet and monumental, marks the birth of conscious thought. You breathe in, and it feels like remembering, because that same fire burns within you, the light of curiosity, the spark that seeks understanding. The river of evolution has not stopped. It flows through your veins, guiding every heartbeat, every thought. Your brain, with its billions of neurons, is the newest branch of that river, where chemistry became awareness. Each neuron, like a tiny cell, communicates through pulses of electricity, whispers of light within the dark. Together, they form thoughts, dreams, and memories, the living continuation of the DNA's ancient code. You are evolution, contemplating itself, life aware that it is alive. And yet, even this complexity carries the same pattern. Your brain, too, is made of spirals, networks, folding and looping, never linear, always rhythmic. From the double helix to the synapse, from the synapse to the thought, everything moves in cycles. You realize that life never left the spiral. It only expanded it from molecule to mind. Evolution, then, is not a ladder, but a spiral river, looping through form and function. It does not climb, but curves, flowing back on itself, creating harmony between past and present. And you are part of that current, shaped by everything that came before. Every atom in your body once drifted in ancient seas. Every cell remembers the rhythm of the tide. Even now, your own body continues the story. Your cells divide, your DNA mutates, your mind adapts. Evolution has not ended with you. It moves through you, endlessly unfolding. Each breath you take continues the experiment of life. Each dream you dream adds to the consciousness that began in a quiet ocean for billion years ago. You are the river, remembering its source. And in your stillness, you sense that evolution is not only biological, it is spiritual. It is the universe learning to look back at itself and smile. You drift within that realization, feeling weightless, timeless. In this moment, you are the first cell and the thinking mind, the ocean and the observer. You are evolution made aware of its own motion, the current and the consciousness flowing together. And as you float through this soft infinity, you wonder gently, if life is a river, where does it flow next? Does the current stop at consciousness? Or does it continue into something beyond, something luminous, collective, and unseen? You lie still, eyes closed, the world fading into quiet gray. And yet, within that stillness, an entire universe glows alive. Your brain? It hums softly beneath bone and skin, like a distant city at night, its lights flickering in complex rhythms. Each spark a signal, each signal a thought, each thought a ripple in the vast ocean of your mind. You drift closer, imagining yourself descending into that silent city. The streets are neurons, long branching highways of light. They stretch and twist, touching at delicate intersections called synapses. Every meeting point glows for less than a heartbeat, then vanishes, a firefly pulse, gone before it is fully seen. And yet, together, these flashes compose the great symphony of thought. This is the architecture of consciousness, built not from stone or metal, but from electricity and chemistry. It is the most intricate structure in the known universe, 100 billion neurons, each connected to thousands of others, a web more complex than the stars. Here, you are both architect and traveler. Every perception, every dream, is a corridor within this labyrinth. You realize, as you wander deeper, that your mind does not store reality, it creates it. Light touches your eyes, sound reaches your ears, but what you experience is not the world itself. It is your brain's careful translation, a private universe built from signals filtered through memory and expectation. You do not see the world as it is. You see the world as your brain allows you to see. Each second, millions of bits of sensory information arrive, light waves, vibrations, chemical sense. The brain cannot hold them all, so it selects, shapes, and simplifies. It paints the illusion of continuity, a moving, stable world. It invents color, emotion, and meaning, as if brushing pigment on invisible air. And so, the self, your sense of you, is born not as a fixed being, but as a process. You are not a noun, but a verb, constantly updating, adjusting, imagining. Your identity is not carved in the folds of your brain, but written anew with each firing neuron. In every moment, you are being rebuilt, thought by thought, pulse by pulse. This realization feels both infinite and intimate. You are the dreamer and the dream, the builder and the built. Inside your skull, the cosmos has found a way to contemplate itself, a self-aware swirl of matter that can wonder what it means to be. You drift toward the hippocampus, the brain's quiet librarian. Here, experiences become memory, transformed from fragile sparks into lasting traces. It is not a perfect record, but a gentle watercolor, blending emotion with fact. Your memories are not snapshots of truth. They are living things, changing each time you recall them. In remembering, you rewrite. Then, a subtle current guides you upward, toward the prefrontal cortex, where decisions are shaped. Here, thought becomes intention. This region is where the river of instinct meets the sea of reflection. You stand at that confluence, sensing how every choice is not purely rational or emotional, but both electricity woven with feeling. Your brain, after all, is not a computer. It is an orchestra, balancing precision with improvisation. Every thought you think changes the structure of this orchestra. Neuroscientists call it neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself with experience. When you learn, when you love, when you suffer, the connections between neurons shift, strengthen, fade, and reform. The brain is a sculptor that molds itself from the clay of your days. Even in rest, as you sleep, it refines and repairs, replaying the day's patterns like music repeating in a dream. It is humbling, then, to realize every thought leaves a trace. Every habit. The architecture of thought is alive, self-renewing, never fixed. Even stillness is motion here, neurons firing gently, maintaining the quiet hum of awareness. You drift toward the limbic system, the seat of emotion. Here, ancient fires still burn, echoes of early life, when survival depended on feeling. Fear, love, joy, sadness, all are not enemies of thought, but its foundation. Emotion gives meaning to perception. It colors logic with urgency. Without it, thought would be lifeless, a structure without heartbeat. You can almost feel how your amygdala, small and almond-shaped, flares when you are startled, and how it quiets when you exhale deeply. The brain listens to the body just as much as the body listens to the brain. They are not separate systems, but partners in rhythm. Your breath, your pulse, your thoughts, all part of one conversation. As you drift deeper, you notice the default mode network, the web of brain regions that awakens when you are doing nothing in particular. This is where daydreams live, where the mind wanders and reweaves memories into imagination. In the stillness of rest, your brain is not idle, it is dreaming awake. It stitches fragments into meaning, rehearses futures, repairs the fabric of self. You realize that rest is not the opposite of thought. It is the soil in which thought grows. You float now between hemispheres, left and right, logic and art, analysis and intuition. You feel how both sides hum in harmony, not opposition. The left counts, names, and structures. The right feels, connects, and envisions. Together they form a single song, one half writing the notes, the other hearing the melody. This balance, fragile yet eternal, is what makes consciousness feel so human. As you move through this inner cosmos, you sense that the brain is not merely inside you. Its architecture mirrors the wider universe. Neural networks branching like galaxies, synapses flickering like stars. Each neuron is a microcosm of the cosmos, a node of possibility, a point of light in the dark. The same physical laws that govern the stars guide your thoughts. Electricity, energy, equilibrium. You are stardust thinking, starlight dreaming of itself. In this moment of stillness, you feel your thoughts slow, expanding into silence. The architecture fades from sight, and only the rhythm remains, the pulse of existence, steady and kind. You realize that thinking itself is an act of connection, not isolation. Every idea links to others. Every perception joins a web of meaning that stretches beyond your mind into all of humanity. Your language, your art, your empathy, all are bridges built by countless minds before yours. You are the inheritor of a collective architecture, the result of millions of years of shared imagination. From cave drawings to symphonies, from whispers to algorithms, humanity's brain has been thinking together, expanding the network of knowing. Even now, as you rest, your neurons hum with words spoken by others, ideas borrowed, reshaped, renewed. No thought stands alone. It echoes through generations like a ripple on water. You breathe softly, realizing how fragile yet magnificent this system is. A single imbalance, a lack of sleep, a surge of emotion can shift perception entirely. And yet, the brain endures, constantly recalibrating. It is not perfection that defines it, but adaptability. The ability to rebuild, to remember, to reinvent. You sense how every night, as you drift into sleep, your brain clears space. It washes itself in waves of cerebrospinal fluid, cleansing the clutter of the day. Old connections loosen, new ones strengthen, memories settle. This nightly tide is the brain's way of exhaling its meditation. As you rest, your neurons dream too, replaying fragments of your day, turning experience into understanding. The boundary between thought and dream softens. You feel yourself dissolving into that rhythm, not thinking but being thought. Perhaps you wonder. The brain is not merely the source of consciousness, but its instrument. An organ through which awareness plays its infinite song. And just as a violin vibrates beyond its strings, maybe you to extend beyond your neurons, your synapses, yourself. The architecture fades into light. You hover in that radiance, not separate, not defined, only aware. Your thoughts dissolve like mist, and what remains is presence, simple, endless, serene. You are no longer observing the brain. You are the field it hums within. The silence inside you feels vast, almost cosmic, the same silence between stars. And in that cosmic quiet, a final reflection arises. If thought is the architecture of your mind, then awareness is the sky that holds it all. You drift in that realization, calm, awake, infinite. Each thought a star, each feeling a constellation, all of them flickering inside the universe that is you. You rest beneath a soft, endless sky, the same sky that watched over the first flickers of life. Within you, beneath the hush of your skin, something ancient continues to hum, the quiet machinery of creation. Every cell in your body is a poet, copying verses of life from one page to the next. Each strand of DNA is a careful scribe, rewriting the same sacred story, base by base, word by word. But even the most delicate writer can misplace a letter. Even the most disciplined rhythm can skip a beat. And sometimes that skip becomes a song the world has never heard before. That is where change begins. That is mutation, the gentle stumble of life that allows new beauty to take shape. You might imagine DNA as a long ribbon of light, curling through the dark like a slow-moving river. It glows softly, each pair of letters, A with T, C with G, woven into endless combinations. As your cells divide, this ribbon unspools, splits, and is copied with astonishing precision. Yet, every so often, a letter is misplaced. The rhythm falters. The copy deviates just slightly from the original. Most of these stumbles are harmless. Some are silent, invisible, never changing a thing. But others, rare and powerful, rewrite the rhythm of life itself. They become the spark that transforms the old into the new. Billions of years ago, a single mutation gave birth to something entirely unseen before, a pigment that could absorb light. From that small accident, the first eyes began to form. Another change allowed a molecule in ancient seas to trap energy from the sun, and photosynthesis was born. A shift in one ancient creature's DNA made fins into limbs, allowing it to take the first trembling steps onto land. Every creature, every leaf, every color and shape and breath owes its existence to such stumbles. The world you see, from the coral reef's dreamlike blues to your own reflection in the mirror, is the consequence of errors that became innovations. Life is not perfect because of its accuracy. It is perfect because it dares to change. Inside you, the same process unfolds. Each second, millions of your cells divide, carefully copying your genetic poem. Tiny molecular guardians watch the process enzymes that slide along the spiral, checking every word, correcting every slip. But even they, in their patience, allow for freedom. They let the universe experiment through you. They let possibility exist. Some mutations arise from the warmth of the sun. A photon strikes your DNA, nudging one base pair out of place. Others appear from deep within, from the spontaneous dance of atoms, from the quiet chaos that hums inside every molecule. It is easy to think of mutation as error, a flaw in the perfection of life's code. But it is not error. It is evolution's imagination. It is how life sketches new versions of itself, how the universe practices becoming. When you breathe, when you dream, when your heart beats, you are the result of countless mutations that succeeded in making survival possible. The way your fingers bend, the way your voice vibrates through air, the way your mind imagines galaxies, all of it was once an experiment in the quiet laboratory of time. Each ancestor before you carried small differences, some that helped them, some that hindered them, but each one contributing a verse to your design. And now, within you, the pattern continues. Life never stops editing itself. Think of it like music. If evolution is a melody, then mutation is the improvisation. Without it, the song would never change key. It would be beautiful, perhaps, but lifeless, a frozen perfection. Mutation adds the unexpected, a new rhythm, a new harmony, sometimes dissonant, sometimes divine, but always alive. You are, in a quiet sense, a composition of billions of such musical accidents. Your genome, that long poem of bass pairs, has been sung and reshaped through eons of gentle trial. From the first microbes to mammals to human beings, every line has been rewritten, tuned, and evolved. Each stumble left behind a trace, a memory encoded in your very structure. If you could listen deeply enough, you might hear it, the murmur of old mutations echoing in your blood, the whisper of wings you never grew, the memory of gills long gone but once essential, the ancient rhythm of a tale that balanced your ancestors before they stood upright. You carry within you the fossils of forgotten versions of yourself, versions that once breathed, crawled, and dreamed beneath alien skies. Every mutation that survived became a story, a successful phrase in the poem of existence. Those that didn't became lessons, ghost notes that shaped the melody of what remained. The universe, too, seems to follow this rhythm of change. Stars mutate, fusing elements, collapsing, rebirthing themselves in explosions of light. Galaxies shift and reshape atoms, rearrange to form new structures. Even time itself stretches and folds, never still. Perhaps mutation is not confined to biology. Perhaps it is the language of all creation, the way energy experiments with itself, searching endlessly for new forms of being. And in this vast field of experimentation, you exist as both product and participant. You are a mutation, a beautiful one, of everything that came before. You are the universe discovering another way to feel itself. But mutation is not only about change in the distant past. It continues now within you. When your cells replicate, when your tissues renew, each copy carries the potential for something new. Sometimes these changes bring illness, fragility, imbalance. Nature does not choose, it simply allows. Yet even in loss, even in mutation's shadow, there is a profound reminder. Life's creativity is boundless, and it does not stop. Some scientists call mutation random, but randomness, when viewed gently, is not chaos, it is openness. It is freedom. It is life saying, I will try again and again and again. In that way, mutation mirrors your own growth. You change not through perfection, but through the small mistakes you learn from. Each misstep becomes a teacher, each loss a reshaping, each moment of confusion an opportunity to see differently. You are, like your DNA, a self-editing poem, always rewriting, always improving, always expanding the vocabulary of who you are. There is a quiet beauty in the patience of it all. Life does not rush. It allows time to sculpt slowly, to test and refine. Some mutations take millions of years to show their meaning. Others bloom in a single generation, like sudden music filling a silent room. You might think of a field of flowers, each one slightly different from the next. No two petals alike, no two stems the same height. Each variation a tiny experiment in form and color. That diversity, that endless variety, is the signature of mutation. It is nature's proof that beauty thrives, not in sameness, but in difference. When you look at your reflection, You are seeing the sum of thousands of those experiments, eyes shaped by light, skin adapted to weather, bones formed by gravity's gentle pull. You are an artwork, painted by the invisible brush of molecular change, and if you extend your imagination even further to other planets, other suns, you can almost sense that the same principle must hold true. Wherever life arises, it will stumble, too. It will try, fail, learn, mutate. Across the cosmos, in oceans of methane or skies of crimson gas, DNA or something like it will someday copy itself imperfectly. And from that imperfection, another version of beauty will be born, perhaps somewhere far away. Another being made from entirely different elements is wondering, as you are now, why the universe prefers change to stillness as you breathe softly in the dimness of your room. Imagine all of this happening inside you, billions of tiny worlds, each one a quiet experiment in becoming, each molecule of DNA a poet rewriting its own verse. The air feels thicker now, slower, like water around you. Your body hums with its ancient rhythm. You are both the experiment and the observer, the story and the storyteller. Mutation is not an error. It is permission. Permission for life to continue becoming itself. Permission for you to continue becoming yourself. Every day, every thought, every heartbeat, you mutate in small ways, not in your genes, perhaps, but in your understanding. And as you drift toward sleep, you might feel that change moving through you, subtle, invisible, tender. Your breath deepens. Your cells work in silence, as they have for billions of years. The same rhythm that shaped stars, oceans, and forests now hums inside you. You are not finished. You are never finished. You are the continuation of a universe that learns through change, a soft experiment of consciousness and form. And as the night stretches deeper, you can almost hear that quiet whisper beneath your heartbeat, writing tomorrow's line in the endless poem of being. You breathe slowly, and the world feels suspended, quiet, vast, and tender. Beneath the stillness, an invisible artist is always at work, not one with hands or purpose, but with time itself as its chisel. Every grain of sand, every feather, every curve of a shell, all bear the mark of a patient sculptor that never sleeps. This sculptor is natural selection, the silent process by which life, through countless small chances, learns to endure. You imagine the story beginning long before humanity, in shallow oceans of soft light, where single cells drifted like dust motes in sunlight. Some carried small mutations, tiny stumbles from the script written by DNA. A molecule folded slightly differently. A protein worked just a little better or worse. And then time began its quiet experiment. The ones whose errors happened to help them live, they lingered a little longer. They divided more times. Their children carried the same quirks. The others, those whose mutations dimmed the spark, faded gently into the sea of time. No judgment, no punishment, just an unfolding of possibility. You can almost hear it, a slow, timeless rhythm, variation, survival, inheritance. Like waves rolling upon the shore, each moment wears away what cannot last, leaving behind what fits most softly into the world. You close your eyes and picture this, a field of wildflowers in a quiet valley. Each bloom reaches for the same sun, each petal trembling in the same breeze. Yet no two are alike. Some petals are broader, some colors brighter. A bee visits one more often than another, drawn by shade or scent. That bee, without knowing, becomes part of the sculptor's hand. The next generation of flowers will carry more of what the bees love, because love, in nature's language, is persistence. It is not that nature decides. There is no grand mind behind it, no artist with intent. The sculptor of life works blindly, slowly, and endlessly, guided not by desire, but by the simple truth that what survives stays. What doesn't drifts away. And yet, when you look around at the sweep of wings in flight, at the spiral of a seashell, at your own beating heart, it is hard not to feel awe. How can something so unthinking carve something so intricate? You sense the paradox, beauty from accident, order from chaos, purpose from chance. But that is the poetry of natural selection, the music hidden within randomness. Imagine again the ancient seas. In those waters, tiny creatures floated, soft-bodied, fragile, vulnerable. Some could sense light, a shimmer of warmth. Others could move slightly toward it. Slowly, over millions of years, eyes began to form. Not all at once, but as small advantages stacked, each one shaping the next. A patch of light-sensitive cells became a shallow cup, then a deeper one, then a lens. No single creature planned this. It was simply that those who could see even a little had a gentler time finding what they needed to live. This is how the sculptor works. With patience beyond imagination. You, sitting here, breathing softly, are the result of 4 billion years of such whispers, tiny successes, accumulated into consciousness. Your own body is a masterpiece of adaptation. The curve of your spine holds the memory of walking upright, balancing the weight of the world. The rhythm of your heartbeat carries echoes of the ocean's tide, where the first hearts once pulsed. Your lungs, twin branches mirroring coral reefs, still remember the water, even as they breathe the sky. Every part of you is evidence of the sculptor's long devotion. You might wonder, does this mean we are perfect now? No, perfection was never the goal. The sculptor's art is never finished. Evolution is not progress. It is persistence. It is a river that never stops moving, even as the landscape shifts around it. And so, even now, every living thing is still being shaped by heat, by hunger, by the quiet pressure of existence itself. The fin of a whale, the root of a grass blade, the way you dream when you sleep, all are still part of nature's ongoing experiment. You think again of the word selection. It sounds deliberate, doesn't it? Like someone choosing one path over another. But the truth is softer. There is no chooser, only consequence. What endures, endures. What fades, fades. Still, it is beautiful to imagine the world this way, as if every trial, every difficulty is a kind of refining. You, too, are being shaped, not by a conscious hand, but by life itself. Each moment of struggle smooths your rough edges. Each act of kindness becomes a new form of strength. You are, in your own small way, a continuation of that same sculpting process. Your resilience is evolution, not of genes, but of being. Now imagine walking through a forest at dusk. The air hums with insects. Somewhere a bird calls, and the sound echoes like memory. You pause to watch a spider weaving its web, silk so thin it glistens like starlight. That spider's design is not random. Each strand follows a geometry perfected through endless generations. The spider's ancestors that spun weaker webs did not survive storms or hunger. The ones that built strong, efficient patterns passed those designs forward, not by thought, but by thread. And here it is, before you, quiet evidence of time's long patience. You realize that every sound in this forest, the rustle, the chirp, the flutter, is life proving what has worked. The trees that stand have found balance in gravity. The birds that sing have found harmony in breath. The insects that glow have found beauty in energy's release. The sculptor works not in marble or clay, but in motion and memory. Think of your own heartbeat again. It speeds when you run, slows when you rest. It adjusts without your command, tuned by countless ancestors whose rhythms succeeded in keeping them alive. Each pulse is a signature of survival. And yet, survival alone does not explain the grace you feel when you hear music, or the awe you sense looking at the stars. That is the other gift of this long process, consciousness. It emerged quietly, not as a goal, but as an accident that became an awakening. Natural selection shaped not only bodies, but awareness itself, the ability to imagine, to remember, to love. And with that awareness came a strange, new freedom, the ability to reflect on the sculptor's work while still being part of it. You, sitting here, are both sculpture and witness. You are made by the process you observe. Perhaps that is why stillness feels sacred, because in stillness you can almost sense the slow work of time continuing inside you. Cells dividing, thoughts forming, breath finding balance. Even as you rest, the sculptor shapes you further in unseen ways. Close your eyes and think of this. Natural selection is not only about competition or struggle, it is also about cooperation. The sculptor's finest work often emerges not from conflict, but from connection. Bees and flowers, coral and algae, trees and fungi, all evolved together, shaping each other's fates. Life is not a solo act. It is a symphony of mutual endurance. You are part of that symphony too. The bacteria in your gut, the air in your lungs, the trees that make your oxygen, all are woven into the same patient process in that sense. Natural selection is not just survival of the fittest, but survival of the fitting. What fits harmoniously with the rest of life continues. And harmony, you realize, is another form of beauty. The forest fades from your vision now, replaced by the night sky. You lie beneath the stars and think about the sculptor's reach. It stretches from the smallest microbe to the sweep of galaxies. Even the stars, in their way, undergo selection, some burning longer, more stable, more luminous than others. Everywhere endurance shapes existence. Everywhere persistence becomes art. You breathe again, slowly, deeply. The world feels interconnected, like one vast organism, dreaming itself into form. You are part of that dream. You are the universe, refining itself through time. When you sleep tonight, your body will continue its quiet sculpting. Cells will repair. Memories will consolidate. The mind will sort through its own adaptations, reshaping thought, emotion, and meaning. Natural selection, in a way, happens even within your dreams. Ideas that comfort you will stay. Those that cause unrest will fade. Your inner world, too, evolves toward balance. And so, the sculptor never stops. It carves in silence. It shapes in patience. It works through you, through everything, through all that ever was and will be. When you open your eyes again, in another dawn, in another moment, you may notice the world differently. Not as random, not as cruel, but as quietly purposeful. Because even in the absence of intent, there is order in what remains. The sculptor's hands are made of time, and its art is everything that endures. You are one of its most delicate works, always unfinished, always becoming, a living echo of every survival before you. You listen once more to your heartbeat, and in that rhythm, steady, timeless, you can almost hear it, the sound of life being carved by silence, shaped by chance, perfected by time. You smile gently, drifting toward sleep. And as you do, one last thought lingers. Perhaps beyond the sculptor's touch, another artist waits to continue the work. You breathe slowly and let your mind sink into a quiet forest of possibility. Here, nothing exists in isolation. Every movement, every pulse, every breath is felt by another. You imagine a tiny pond at dawn, the water still, shimmering with reflections of the soft sky. Frogs stir beneath the surface, dragonflies skim above, algae catch the first light. Each creature acts alone yet is part of something greater, a delicate web of life, connected invisibly yet undeniably. This web is cooperation, the quiet thread that weaves the survival of one into the survival of many. Even in a universe governed by selection and chance, life often finds strength in connection. The sculptor of survival is patient, yes, but it also values harmony. You see it in the tiny seeds that sprout best near others of their kind, in the quiet pull of pollinators that carry one flower's gift to another. Imagine a bee, its wings humming like a tiny star spinning in a distant galaxy. It flits from bloom to bloom, unaware that it is shaping the next generation of flowers. Each visit leaves pollen, a bridge, a promise, a continuation. The flower benefits. The bee benefits. Life continues, softly, without drama or haste. And then, picture a wolf pack. Alone, a wolf might hunt, might survive, might falter. Together, the pack coordinates, communicates, shares the spoils of effort. Their lives are intertwined, the fate of one tied to the fate of the others. This is cooperation as evolution's subtle melody, survival through union. You drift further now into your meditation, imagining the forest as a network of invisible threads. Roots intertwine beneath the soil, exchanging nutrients and messages. Fungi connect trees over vast distances, sending signals when danger approaches. Some trees share more with weaker neighbors, quietly sustaining the forest's balance. Life, it seems, has discovered a gentle truth. Existence is easier when shared. Your own body mirrors this wisdom. Inside, trillions of cells communicate endlessly. They divide, repair, and adapt, not in isolation, but in synchrony. Your gut bacteria, a vast microscopic community, help digest food, regulate immunity, and even influence mood. They are tiny partners in your survival, their cooperation shaping your well-being. You think of humans now. Even in our early history, survival often depended on collaboration. Families, tribes, villages, networks formed not just for comfort, but for life itself. Stories, language, trade, care for the young, all arose from the same principle. Life taught that to endure, one must sometimes lean on others. The lesson echoes through your own thoughts. You are never entirely alone. Look again to the pond. A school of fish moves as one, shimmering like liquid light. Predators approach, and instantly the school shifts, a single organism made of many. No fish directs the others, yet together they create something more than the sum of their parts. In this cooperative dance, survival is woven with grace. You imagine the night sky, dotted with stars. Galaxies spin, stars are born and die. Cosmic winds flow unseen. Even here, patterns of connection emerge. Gravity, light, and the forces of the universe interact quietly, creating systems that endure across time. Life mirrors this cosmic web. The invisible threads that hold galaxies in shape are not unlike the threads that bind life on Earth. Insects in the soil, worms in the earth, birds in the canopy, all contribute to a cycle. Nutrients are passed along. Waste becomes nourishment. Every act, no matter how small, resonates across the ecosystem. The gentle poetry of cooperation is everywhere, yet subtle, often unnoticed. You feel your heartbeat, a soft rhythm, and recognize it as part of this same network. Oxygen, carried by blood, nurtures each cell. Cells respond, adapt, and repair. Your mind, a complex network itself, connects neurons in precise, delicate patterns. Cooperation exists even in thought, in memory, in the pulse of consciousness. Imagine a coral reef beneath warm, sunlit waters. Tiny polyps build together, secreting calcium carbonate over generations. Fish shelter in the nooks. Algae thrive in the sunlight. Predators and prey find balance. The reef is alive, but also a testament to collective endurance. Even microbes cooperate. In mats of bacteria, some produce food molecules for others. Some protect the colony from toxins. Life's simplest forms, you see, already understand the value of connection. Survival is not only a solo achievement, it is often the product of many lives entwined. Your thoughts drift to human creativity. Artists, musicians, writers, their work is a reflection of collective inspiration. Ideas are passed, shared, transformed. One mind sparks another. Much like one flower's pollen sparks another bloom. Cooperation, in this sense, is not limited to survival alone. It becomes the foundation of culture, of art, of civilization. You watch a forest canopy from above. Sunlight filters through, illuminating leaves that overlap and support one another. Branches and vines entwine. Birds, insects, and mammals navigate this living network. Every life form depends on another. Each interaction, a small note in nature's endless symphony. Even the air you breathe is part of this cooperative system. Photosynthesis converts sunlight and carbon dioxide into oxygen. You inhale, you exhale. Life sustains life. You are simultaneously participant and observer, both sculpted by cooperation and shaping it in return. Think of cooperation in evolutionary terms. While competition can drive adaptation, collaboration often accelerates innovation. Species that work together can create niches impossible for solitary beings. Mutual aid, symbiosis, teamwork, All are threads in the tapestry of persistence. Now, imagine the quiet night outside your window. Stars twinkle like distant fireflies. Some are close neighbors. Others are far, separated by unimaginable distances. Still, the gravity between them binds them into constellations, galaxies, systems. Life's networks on Earth mirror these cosmic threads, invisible, enduring, and breathtakingly vast. The forest, the pond, the reef, the hive, your heartbeat, all whisper the same truth. Connection is survival. Through cooperation, life has endured meteor strikes, ice ages, volcanic eruptions. Through collaboration, it has thrived, diversified, and reached your eyes, your mind, your soul. You feel a deep calm settling in. Cooperation, you realize, is gentle yet powerful. It requires no noise, no rush, no clamor. It unfolds quietly, persistently, like a river carving stone. Your own mind and body participate in this endless dance. Every act of kindness, every gesture of care, every breath of empathy continues the web of life. You are a living thread, part of a network that stretches from the smallest microbe, from the ocean's floor to the highest clouds, reaching even toward the distant stars as you drift toward sleep. Imagine the world as a single living network. Nothing is wasted. Every life form, every heartbeat, every pulse contributes to the ongoing harmony. And though you may feel small, you are essential to this pattern. You are the silent touch, the unseen hand, the quiet presence that sustains the web of life. The sculptor of survival works not only with the strong or the lucky, but with all who are willing to participate. Through cooperation, life weaves its enduring patterns, reminding you that persistence is not always solitary. It is togetherness, connection, and the gentle intertwining of countless stories. Even as you sleep tonight, the web continues. Roots exchange nutrients. Birds migrate and teach their young. Cells communicate, repair, and adapt. You are part of that harmony, a delicate strand in an infinite network. And in this realization, a sense of peace envelops you, a soft lullaby of belonging, continuity, and calm. You inhale, you exhale, and you feel the pulse of connection through your own body. And as you drift into dream, one final thought lingers softly. Life, at its deepest level, is never solitary. It is always entwined, always connected, always a quiet echo of harmony.